and Volty here. I'm really rocking here with twice as much gas and almost twice as many minerals as any other player. So my expansions are humming along. My expansion is humming along nicely. Now the Frozen Elf's base is getting attacked by a bunch of stalkers, but I've got mine in, and I outnumber ADSR here. Not surprising, since my economy is going so much stronger. You saw me use Blink there to move my stalkers closer to his stalkers and force them to fight me. So that's working out pretty well. My numerical advantage here has resulted in him losing all of his, and me losing almost none of mine. Meanwhile, that expansion is up for ADSR, so he's looking at probing that up, using the Chrono Boost ability here on the Nexus to build probes faster. And we have Rushock building a command center here. He's building it in a protected location behind these rocks, but he's looking to float it up over to claim this high yield mineral field. So we'll see how that goes for him. ADSR needs to spam probes harder, I think. In any case, we can see here Rushock is continuing to build Banshees out. And the Frozen Elf, what tech has he got? Not much tech right now, it looks like. He's got that Roach Warren still, and a lair. What is he building? He doesn't seem to be building very much. I guess he's drones and queens, looking on economy and stuff. You can see me researching or building 2 mortals here. They're going to be a counter to both the stalkers I've been facing so many of, and the siege tanks as well that we've seen from Rushock. Got a pretty big base here. Right, okay, so I missed this interaction, but Rushock brings his command center here. I scout it with an observer, and so I bring in my forces to take it out. Even though he lifts it off, my stalkers can shoot air, and I'm going to blink in there just to keep in the distance and take that down. So that's pretty bad for Rushock. He tried to expand to a location that was pretty exposed. I saw it as it was happening immediately, and I've taken it out. So his 400 crystals down. And there you can see my observer coming back in to kind of keep an eye on the field. Siege tanks rolling up here. Looking to maybe shell my units, but I am not going to attack the rocks at this time. Taking a look at the resource income here, you can still see I've got a pretty big advantage. Mining very heavily from 2 bases right now, crystal and gas. I've got 42 harvesters compared to my opponents, so I guess that would just stress the importance of building lots of harvesters. Now I am attacking these rocks. Fortunately, the timing has worked out pretty well because the siege tanks are elsewhere at the front door. He's de-sieging those and going to bring them up. Meanwhile, I got my stalkers to just blink up to the high ledge while the rest of my army destroyed the rocks. But even though I'm attacking this base and taking all the probes, I see that my ally rather, is being harassed at his base, and so I send my main army to back to defend him rather than push the attack. But I'm not going to get there in time to save this hatchery. Meanwhile, Rushock has built these Banshees, which he's now sending up around to the Frozen Elf's main. So he's under a lot of attack, a lot of pressure right now from Stalkers and Banshees. These Banshees can go straight for the lair, and they're going to lay into that, destroying it very quickly. And one thing that some players have been commenting on the forums and games to me is that there's definitely a faster pace of play in StarCraft 2. Buildings seem to relatively have less hit points than they did in StarCraft 1, and you can see there those Banshees didn't take very long at all to take out that hatchery either. And now the Frozen Elf is going to be revealed because he has no hatcheries left. He does have the resources to reacquire one. We can see he has 695 crystal, so he will be able to build another one. But in the meantime, all of his units are all of his buildings are being revealed until he gets that back up. Those Banshees, meanwhile, are coming over to my natural expansion where they're going to harass. Taking out my probes here. I'm pulling them off the line though, and sending in my army to push that back. The Frozen Elf also has Mudderless, which are great. Banshees can only shoot ground, so any kind of flying air superiority type unit is very effective at taking them out. I've also got my Banshees here up on the high ground, chasing them around. Oh no, but the Frozen Elf tried to put up another hatchery at his expansion, which the Banshees took out just as it was being morphed. That's really unfortunate for him. So basically, these attacks on the Frozen Elf have been very successful, completely crippling his economy. He's generating no income right now. He's forcing forcing both Volty and the Frozen Elf to run around and chase these Banshees down. But they do chase them down eventually and clean them all up. And with the Terran player and the Protest player being constrained to single base each so far, this does not look great for them, just because their economies are going to start to flag. Here, we can check out their incomes again. So even though the Frozen Elf is making no money at all, everybody else is on one base, essentially, except for me, who is now starting to mine again at my natural. Here we have ADSR trying to expand to his rocks, or to his expansion that's protected by what used to be the rocks here. So if he gets set up, that'll be good for him. Meanwhile, though, I've got a big army which I'm bringing in here to make sure that there's no re-expanding going on here. Try to push in. My Immortals are getting shelled by these siege tanks, but Immortals are the counter unit to siege tank. Every time that these guys get hit while their shields are still up, the siege tank damage, which would normally be 60, is reduced to only 10. So Immortals can take a lot of damage from siege tanks, and then when they fire back on those tanks, they clean them up really fast, because Immortals do a lot of extra damage to armored units. So I was able to do that pretty effectively, using the high ground to my advantage. Now that the siege tanks are gone, or mostly gone, I'm pushing into this Terran base with very little resistance. Immortals just chew up buildings, so as long as they're still on the ground. We can see Rushock removing his starports here from the area, trying to get them out in time. But pretty much have toasted that base really quickly, at least what buildings I can access that will stick around. Rushock does have another fleet of Banshees up, and a Raven, which is sort of the Science Vessel 2.0. It's a flying detector unit. Can cast a couple spells, mainly defensive turrets, and a Seeker Missile, which is a single shot, 100 damage AoE. And so, oh no, here comes Rushock in to destroy the Frozen Elf Spire, and to lay into his economy. So no sooner does he get this back up again, but he's attacked by air units. That said, this time we do have some Mutalisks going to be attacking these units, but the auto turrets deployed by that Raven are doing a pretty good job of defending against that. So taking out all the attackers, even though these Banshees couldn't even help destroy the Mutalisks at all. These auto turrets make quick work of that. But here come my reinforcements. Well, to try to defend the Frozen Elf, not being very successful here, but we're going to try to attack Rushock's units. And so now we are down to basically 2 mining bases. I have my natural expansion still, the main is mined out. You can see me placing down a bunch of Stargates here to decide, you know what, to fight air units, I'm going to need some air units of my own to be able to chase them around effectively. But what I do have is I have a huge army here. And so this army is going to pretty much run around and take out this expansion. I can build some Colossi, which are really great. They give me line of sight up the cliff, so my Stalkers can go straight up the cliff here, and the Colossi themselves can just walk straight up that cliff. I do have some Psystorms being dropped on my Stalkers pretty nicely by ADSR, but Stalkers have too many hit points here, and they're not quite taken out entirely. We got some Stalkers here at 20 hit points left. But 4 High Templar are not going to fend off this army on their own. So, pretty much running through this ADSR's main now, going to take it out. So at this point, I think this is pretty much a good game. Okay, so that said, I am losing my expansion now to the Air Force of Rushock. So what is the income going on in this game? Okay, so I've expanded now to the high resource income field. I've also expanded here, though I haven't built any probes yet. So I've still got income going in this game. Nobody else really does. I do get some air superiority fighters here. These Phoenixes up. They're going to make quick work of Rushock's Air Force here. So these harassment Banshees finally go down, and at this point, it's pretty much, I've got a bunch of units, I've got income still, everybody else is only scrapping along. So it's pretty much GG for me. It looks like our opponents here are gonna stay in the game a little bit longer. I could increase the replay speed here just a little bit while I take out these units. Colossi again being valuable here, giving me line of sight to the higher ledge, so my other units can shoot up. I'm going to speed up the remainder of this replay. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this game. I'm going to be posting several more here in rapid succession, I hope. And yeah, let me know. Give me some comments, some feedback. The final push of the SCVs try to take out one of my expansions. They're going to die pretty fast. Just love these Colossi. Such a good looking unit. All right, I think my opponents are GGing here and leaving the game. All right, thanks for watching. Volty out.